You are listening to the KNDY Radio Podcast with your host Kennedy.
Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the J. I'm your host Kennedy. This segment is only 20 minutes where we discuss what's happening in Japan. And also there's quite a few other things to discuss, but let me start with news that Japan plans to raise departure and visa fees for foreign tourists. Yep, that is true. The Japanese government is planning a wave of fee and tax hikes targeting foreign nationals that will affect the airport departure tax and visa processing fee. There will also be a new charge for pre-entry screening. Justifying the move, officials said that Japan's current fees are low by international standards. The government has said it intends to use the increased revenue to help alleviate airport congestion and strengthen screening processes, and that any significant surplus could be redirected to other policies. So, that is no surprise there. I've always felt that, due to the state of the economy of Japan, being where it's at right now, in other Western countries, and other countries doing so well against the yen, that things were going to change regardless. Because right now, we know that the Japanese people are, and residents in general, are paying a lot in taxes. And paying a lot. I mean, everything has gone up in price, in Japan. And I think if anything is that if they try to make money in that fashion of, charging these fees, so be it. If it's there to help the airports, if it's there to help, alleviate the congestion and also, pay for extra people for screening and so forth, that's perfectly fine. I don't think, some people may look at it as a way to prevent, people from going to Japan because of all the reported issues that we've been hearing about. But I don't think that's the case. My feeling, especially since the last 2 years of seeing how bad the yen was, it's been an overall general consensus that everyone is pretty much saving a lot of money, or even taking advantage of the weak yen to really purchase from Japan, and also to do things that normal Japanese citizens don't get to enjoy because they're paying so high on everything else. And the way I look at it is that if they have to do certain things, if it's reasonable, if the fee and tax hikes are reasonable, then they can do whatever they want. Airport depart tax, visa processing fee, pre-entry screening, as long as they don't go too crazy with these fees. And I'm talking about if it's just like, I guess you could say, in terms of using the US dollar as an example, if you're adding, like, let's say 25 cents or something, or even, around that, that's no big deal. Now, if you're trying to say that, oh yeah, we're going to do like $5 to $10 or $30 or $50 per person, that is, getting a little ridiculous, and that's a little bit crazy. We've seen already that JR East and other train companies have increased their prices, but by no means, we've seen the JR Pass go up and so forth, right? But at the same time, it is, compared to other countries, it's not so bad. And that's one thing that you have to put it in perspective. Yes, no one likes to have, pay for new taxes that are high, especially if it's unusually too high. But if it's reasonable, and that people can definitely know that it's still cheaper than other countries and what other countries are charging, then that should definitely be communicated to the public. So that is one of the major news, according to Asahi Shimbun. So one of the key changes under consideration for fiscal 2026 is an increase in the international tourist tax, also known as the departure tax. This was established in 2019. Each departing passenger is currently obliged to pay a levy of 1,000 yen, $6.70. The government envisages raising the fee, referencing international standards. Purely as an example, the levy in the United States is $22.20, which is 3,300 yen. The departure tax is collected from Japanese citizens as well as foreign nationals. To avoid increasing the burden on its own nationals, the government has floated the idea of lowering the fees for obtaining or renewing Japanese passports. Okay. So, right now, if it's in 2019, if it was 1,000 yen, again, $6.70, and knowing that the United States is $22.20, I don't think 3,300 yen. It's hard to complain even if they went 2,000 yen, which is $12 or so. It's just kind of hard to criticize that compared to other countries. So yeah, it's not too bad. But we'll see. Let's talk about the MPB, Japanese, or the Nippon Professional Baseball League. So, as expected, on the Central League, the Hanshin Tigers pretty much took care of the DNA Baystars. So they are going to make it to the Japan Series. But what about on the Pacific League between the Nippon Ham Fighters and SoftBank Hawks? It looked like the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. They pretty much looks like they had it in the bag for those first two games, but the Ham Fighters pretty much came back and won 3 consecutive Climax Series games, and now they are ahead. Well, actually, it's tied now, because you have to remember in Japan, when you if you have the best record, you automatically get a 1-game win. So they won. So it's tied now, 3-3, and this means that we have one final game to decide who will go on the Japan Series: the Nippon Ham Fighters, who are red hot right now, or the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, who have dominated pretty much most of the season. So it's going to be very interesting. One of these teams will make it to the Japan Series. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. So who am I rooting for? You know, the way I look at it is that I look at the SoftBank Hawks almost how I look at the back in the I think you always have those teams. I'll say Golden State Warriors in basketball, NBA, and remember there's a time when they would always win, and they would always make it to the finals and so forth. And there's part of you that wanted to root for the other team because you just want to see a dominant team, finally lose. And the same thing with not just Golden State, but I remember back in the NFL when the Patriots kept on winning over and over and over, and they were in the championships of the Super Bowl. And you kind of had to, you just wanted to root for the team that was always a thorn because they were always winning everything, right? SoftBank Hawks is like that for the MPB. And it was great to see Nippon Ham Fighters win one. I think it was it 2015 or 2016? But since then, the Hawks have, I don't want to use the word fizzled out. They were not as strong as before, and this led to other teams, such as the Oryx Buffaloes, And you also saw Central League teams such as the Yakult Swallows and the DNA Bay Stars actually win a Japan series. But when you started to see the Hawks dominating again, you couldn't help but think, oh, are they going to be back again like they had all those years prior? And so we'll see. We'll see right now. Right now, Nippon Ham Fighters are red hot, but this final game will be decided in Fukuoka. So it's either going to be the Ham Fighters or the Hawks, but we'll find out. It's going to be... actually, yeah, it's going to be the Mizuho PayPay Dome Fukuoka. And, yeah, we'll see how that goes. There's still a lot of games. So the winner on Monday will face the Hanshin Tigers in the Central League in the Japan Series starting Saturday. So good luck to the two teams. One of them gets to go. We'll find out who. In a matter of... yeah, we'll get there. We'll find out. And speaking of baseball, did you guys see what Ohtani Shohei did? Oh my gosh. Triple home runs, 10 strikeouts, 6 innings pitched, no-hitter. Such a unicorn of a player. And all I could say is that, what he was able to do to the Milwaukee Brewers, who were red hot before going to the playoffs and facing the Dodgers. It's just amazing. Dodgers are definitely red hot, and but it'll be interesting to see which one of them will pretty much who will go against the Dodgers. Will it be the Mariners or it'll be the Blue Jays? Both teams are red hot, but I guess we'll find out and see. Raccoon dogs on Yakushima Isle preying on baby sea turtles. And there's just footage of how these raccoon dogs are pretty much picking up these baby turtles and just preying on them. Turtle hatchlings. So, according to Asahi, on this article, growing numbers of invasive raccoon dogs are preying on baby sea turtles on the beaches of Yakushima Island, one of the world's largest nesting sites for the threatened species. Raccoon dogs not only attack turtle hatchlings that are trying to reach the safety of the sea, but they also use their front paws to dig up turtle nests and eat the eggs. That makes raccoon dogs more potentially destructive to turtle populations than crows or cats, environmentalists said. With little solid data on the scale of raccoon dog damage, local officials and the Environment Ministry's Yakushima Ranger Office plan to engage the raccoon dog population and implement measures to protect the sea turtles. Raccoon dogs are not indigenous to Yakushima Island, a World of Natural Heritage site located about 60 kilometers from the southernmost part of Kyushu, one of Japan's 4 main islands. The animal is believed to have been brought to the island in the 1980s. So, I think we're seeing not just raccoon dogs, but we're seeing this play out in other locations. May it be monkeys, may it be certain types of snakes or rabbits. All from different parts of the world, we're seeing certain species that are not native to that country or that land, and being brought there, and then these animals that were brought there to solve a problem end up creating a bigger problem. Human-made problems, of course. Raccoon dogs, who knows how that took place and why would someone actually bring a raccoon dog to an island? I have no idea. Or it snuck on an island and it just escaped. Who knows? But, yeah, that's just something that we are starting to see more and more of all over the world. So this is not just a Japan thing. It's certain animals are causing problems, and yes, what are they going to do? Are they going to hunt them down? Or are they going to put certain gates around certain areas to shock them. Who knows? But yeah, if this is going to be a problem, let's see here. I'm trying to look what their cause to eradicate this problem here. And at one beach, about 100 of around 430 nesting sites where turtles had hatched showed signs of being attacked. At another beach, 70 to 80% of the nests were dug up. So now, the Wade's group carries out nightly patrols and sets up nets to safeguard the nests, but the nets cannot fend off all predators, giving the vastness of the beaches a raccoon dog's ability to enter the nets through an opening. So, local officials say that deers and monkeys are the main culprits behind the damage to agricultural crops in Yakushima, but they suspect raccoon dogs are also responsible for some of the damage. As mentioned, monkeys are becoming a problem. And I was watching one news of how monkeys are showing up on an island, and they're like, how's that possible? Because there's such a large distance. And they actually feel that the monkeys are actually swimming to those islands and then, looking for food and so forth. So, interesting situation. So, according to local in Yakushima Island, raccoon dogs are detrimental to the island. Islanders should not dismiss raccoon dog damage simply as a consequence of wildlife, but should treat it as an alien species issue. Okay. And a big congratulations to singer-songwriter Yonezu Kenshi. The 2022 song Kickback earned a platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA, in September, becoming the first Japanese language song with that distinction. The platinum certification is given to record-setting songs in the United States, according to the label. The RIAA uses its own measurements called units to tally music sales in the U.S. In the digital single category, the association awards gold for a song or album selling more than 500,000 units, platinum for 1 million units, and other certifications. Kickback was written as the opening theme song for the popular Chainsaw animated TV series. Okay, so one of the biggest news, probably not big for Japanese, but for those who are interested in Japan, is seeing these YouTubers, Chris Broad and Alyssa Oriental Pearl, go at it, and other names being brought into the fray. So what happened was, I do know that the YouTuber Oriental Pearl, Alyssa, did a YouTube video showcasing the growing graffiti problem in Japan. And I think this one really triggered Chris Broad because he talked about how she was looking for these videos, this type of content, looking for graffiti or anything to exploit, and saying that Japan is getting worse at it. And personally, there are two sides to this that I see, and I think that both, have the right. They're both. They do create content of Japan. Chris does a magnificent job. Has one of the best productions I've seen when it comes to covering and also going and covering really rural areas. Oriental Pearl also has her audience because she speaks fluent Japanese, Chinese, and she also wants to show a side of Japan that typical Japanese really don't care about of discussing. You see, I've talked about this before, about the homeless problem in Japan, and how, simple things like, for me, giving money to the homeless whenever I come back to the station, Ikebukuro, by the way, and there's always homeless there, but there's always an old lady I give my money to, but I could see when Japanese really get upset, and even some Japanese friends say, why are you doing that? every Japanese are given the right to do best in their country, and I think a lot of them look at them as the homeless as just like a lower seed, people who do not deserve to be acknowledged. And unfortunately, no one knows the circumstances. Maybe mental health, or could it be a wife that depended on her husband, who was the main working person, and then they lost their income after someone passes away. There's just so many aspects of it. And yes, there are Japanese programs that do help out the homeless. But one thing that a lot of people don't know or care to know is that there are certain populations where that are certain housed or at a certain area. And personally, I would never know about it until I saw Oriental Pearl's video. So the fact that she showcased that, and again, these are things that most Japanese don't know about, but for other people outside of the country, it's very interesting, right? But they're two types of creators, and I think one of the problems is that, you know, what made this what got this, I think if anything, there's just disagreements of how one should do their YouTube channel or cover about Japan. This is something that probably could have, been done off social media, but unfortunately, it blew up because it went public, and I can see where Chris Broad is coming from, and yes, it is true. There is graffiti in certain places. I could be in Shibuya or Harajuku, for instance, Takeshita Street. You could be walking there, and everything's littered with graffiti on the gates. But once the business starts, gates are up, and you don't see that graffiti. But the thing is, there are areas where you are starting to see it more and more, and I'm sure for most older people who see it, they just look at it as, oh, this is, what the heck is the country going to? With that being said, I hope both can find a mutual way, just to say, hey, we both cover Japan. You do you. Yeah, and you do you. We have two types of coverage, content that we do about Japan, and I think if anything, just leave it at that. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And also, no need to bring in other YouTubers. I saw John Dobb just release a video, and he was really saddened to see this happen and his name brought up. But at the same time, in the end, it's doing what you feel to showcase the country that you love. And some people are passionate about Japan and have ways of showing things because they don't like to see things getting worse, or they are particularly more about showing the positive sides of Japan, wanting to increase tourism, or just showing people. I know there's a video out, I'm not sure who the YouTuber was, about buying homes in Japan because it's so cheap. And then, of course, people, Japanese, saying, look at this, the foreigners are all buying, these homes in the country, and that caused a problem in Japan. Those certain things. I think what is happening with Chris Broad and Oriental Pearl is just something that can probably be worked out, and they don't have to like each other. They can just say, hey, we coexist in YouTube, and we cover our different aspects of Japan. But at the end of the day, the way I feel is you do you, and you just have to accept that and move on. You're not going to enjoy everyone you look at, and that's in Japan and their video content. And I guess if anything, it's just respecting each other's rights to do their type of content, even if you disagree with it, even if you don't like it. It's just, YouTube is big enough for you to do you, and everyone will have their own type of followers that follow their content because they want to know about Japan in certain aspects. So the way I look at it is, both are really, good creators. They are totally opposite. One is, really about the positive Japan, and keeping it that, is not to say that he hasn't, covered the negative, but in a way, the way they showcase the footage and their content are just totally different. And with Oriental Pearl, whether you disagree with it or not, the way I look at it, again, is that there are sides of Japan that people will never know about. But we find out about it, through her videos. For me, I'm in Japan, I see homeless on in the station, right? What she did was able to go into these communities and interview them. And by the way, these people are, they don't care if they're on the camera. I'm sure she asked permission first. But yeah, it's just, I learned from that video. It's like, whoa, wow. So this is how a lot of them, group up. And it's kind of interesting because, what was that game? I think it was, Ryuga Gotoku, I believe you call it Yakuza in the West. But I remember, or Like a Dragon, I forgot they changed the name. But I remember, I think it was Zero, where the main character had to go through a homeless shelter, and all of them were all hanging out. And I thought that was really interesting because they usually, it's a side of Japanese culture again that you just don't see. And I was surprised to see that, and of course, Oriental Pearl goes into those locations that most people really don't want to be around, and she showcases it. Although I do worry, it's like, my gosh, I hope she's out with other people because some of those places look kind of sketchy. But otherwise, I enjoy both their content. I enjoy a lot of the creators' contents, and the way I look at it is they do something different. They show different sides of Japan, and for the most part, it's all good. Okay, everyone, you take care, and I will see you later. I know I've gone over the 20-minute line, but I had to get my thoughts in, and you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you later. And by the way, check out DJ Takahashi. I use coverage for Japanese shoegaze and dream pop. That was a really awesome episode. Every Saturday night. That was part 1, and she'll be back again next week for part 2. So you all take care, and I will see you later. Week, and
Follow the J. ラジオポッドキャスト on YouTube and also visit KNDY on YouTube. For Japanese entertainment news, please visit neotop2099.com. See you next time. Bye bye.